Now it's your turn to simplify an expression involving square roots and a fraction. Stop this video, take a moment to write out your answer to this problem in your lecture outline packet, and then turn the video back on to check your answer. Here, we're given the expression that has 20 minus the square root of 75 in the numerator and 25 in the denominator. So to start, we'll write out that original expression of 20 minus the square root of 75 divided by 25. As we simplify this expression, we're going to need to simplify both the radical and then anything in the fraction itself that can be simplified. So we'll start with the radical and the square root of 75. To simplify that, we're looking to see if it has a perfect square factor that we can then apply the multiplication property of square roots to. So 75 has 25 as a perfect square factor, and that happens to be the largest perfect square factor for 75. So in our first step, we'll write 20 minus the square root of 75 as 20 minus, and then we're going to have the square root, and inside that square root we'll have the product of 25 and 3. So we write 20 minus the square root of the product 25 times 3. And that's all divided by 25. Now note at this point that 25 and 25 and the 20, there's nothing that can cancel at this point. We don't have any common factors in the numerator or denominator. We're going to continue simplifying that square root, and to do so, we'll use the multiplication property of square roots, and that allows to break this square root of 25 times 3 into the square root of 25 times the square root of 3. So now in our numerator, we'll have 20 minus the square root of 25 times the square root of 3. And our denominator is still 25. At this point, we can see that the square root of 25 is just the number 5, so we'll simplify that. And now our numerator has 20 minus 5 times the square root of 3, and the denominator is still 25. At this point, our radical expression in there is simplified. The square root of 75, we've simplified down to 5 times the square root of 3. The last thing we need to do is simplify the fraction itself. We're going to look for a common factor in the numerator and denominator. Our numerator has two terms, 20 and negative 5 times the square root of 3. So we need to see, is there a common factor in that entire numerator that can cancel with a factor in the denominator? And here, there's a factor of 5 in the entire numerator that will cancel with the denominator. With a factor in the denominator, not the entire denominator. So we're going to factor out that 5, and we'll have 5, and then we'll use parentheses, and inside those we'll have 4 minus the square root of 3. Again, we're taking 20 minus 5 times the square root of 3. If we factor out a 5, inside parentheses, then we're left with 4 minus the square root of 3, and our denominator is still 25. Now we can see that a factor of 5 will cancel from each the numerator and denominator. And when we cancel that out, the factor of 5 in the numerator is gone, and in the denominator, we're just left with 5. So when this expression is fully simplified, the numerator will have 4 minus the square root of 3, and the denominator will just have 5.